Hello, greetings film lovers. Thank you for returning to my channel. Okay, the festival is winding down. I'm getting into the latter half of the festival here. And you know it's getting excessive. The movie watching is getting excessive when I have to start asking people what day it is, but anyway, so today I'm going to be reviewing Breathe and Alleluia. And my head is still spinning from Alleluia. I can't wait to review that film. But first, I'm going to review Breathe. And this is a French film. It was directed by Melanie Laurent, who you may remember if you have seen Inglourious Basterds, the Quentin Tarantino film. She played the woman who owned the movie theater. She directed this film. Sorry, let me just move this a bit. Okay. Anyway, this movie is about two young girls in their late teens. They're high school girls, and they become friends, and they develop this very, very quick, intense friendship, which goes bad. The theme of this movie I really liked, and since I'm a woman, I can definitely relate to this since I am a female. I have been there. I used to be in high school. I used to have these kinds of friendships, so I know exactly what she was going for here in this movie, what she was trying to illustrate. And I feel she did it quite well, only I wasn't completely enamored with the way that she did it. I'm going to have to give this movie a so-so review. It definitely wasn't a bad film, but it wasn't a very good film either. It wasn't a great film, that's for sure. It definitely had its flaws, and I think one of the flaws is that she kind of glossed over the friendship beginning a little bit too quickly and then got into the crap part of it too fast. So anyway, when the movie begins, the main character of the movie is this girl named Charlie, or Charlene, but Charlie for short. This very, very pretty young, 17-ish, I guess, girl. And her parents' marriage is a mess. They're fighting. In the opening scene, she's in bed in the morning, and they're having this argument. You can hear them screaming at each other from below, and she's getting up, she's waking up, getting up to go to school, and she's hearing this. So, you get the feeling this has gone on for some time. Her and her mom and dad have been, fighting. She accuses him of being unfaithful. This has been going on for a while. And, he leaves. He's not around, like 90% of the time. And so anyway, so that's, her home situation. So she's got that in her background, right? But she's a very popular girl. She goes to school. She's got a lot of friends. She's a very attractive girl. So, she looks like she's doing pretty well. And then into the mix comes this new girl named Seha. And, she's your typical, French model-looking type, with the tousled hair, long tousled curls, the kind of girl who looks like she doesn't even have to try to be pretty. She just gets out of bed and whoops, she looks like a model, you know what I mean? And she's kind of a rebel, she's got that rebel look to her, and she's also, you can tell she's kind of a little bit on the wild side. So anyway, she gets to know her, she gets to know her friends, and they become very, 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 very close, very, very fast. And that is one of the things that I could relate to about this movie, and I'm sure every female can relate to this. And it's a weird thing, it's hard to describe. When you're a young female, when you're like in your late teens, even like early or mid-teens, I would say like from when you enter high school, I mean, adolescence is hell, right? And you need as much support as you can get, and you seek support from your friends. And there's always, you have your BFF, you have your best friend, right? The person who you can talk to about anything, you can confide in about anything, you go everywhere together, you get drunk together, you talk about sex, you talk about everything imaginable, your first kiss, all that stuff, right? And we all have that friend, like we all had that friend, right? Some of them have had more than one. Some of us have had more than one. And, friendships between women are kind of, they can be strange things, You can be, it's so hard to do. There's a really strange kind of dynamic going on. And especially when you're at that age, and friendships at that age tend to be, they can be just as intense as like a sexual relationship with a guy, you know, like your first boyfriend. You know, it's kind of like you have that same intensity in a different way with your best friend, you know, like you have very, very strong feelings for this person, you know, they're a big part of your life, you know, like there's intimacy, but, you know, it's strange. There's a strange dynamic going on. And what usually happens when you're best friends with somebody, sooner or later you get into an argument and you have a fight, and then, you know, things start, you know, disintegrating, right? Like, I mean, until you get older, until you get more mature, you can't really be best friends with somebody like forever, you know, like sooner or later something is going to happen that comes between you, and then you find out, oh, she's been talking shit behind my back, and what has she been saying about me, and stuff like that. Like, something usually always happens, right? And you can get back together, you can reconcile, but it's never quite the same, right? As when, you know, you first started being friends and you had that, you know, really, really strong bond. So that's what this movie is all about. It's about that dynamic between women, young women especially, right? And so anyway, so I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but so they become very, very fast friends. You know, they party together, you know, they sleep over at each other's house. Well, the wild one sleeps over at her house all the time because her home life is a complete mess. And she's a compulsive liar. She invents this completely fake, you know, she says her mother's in Nigeria and all this shit. In the meantime, she's an alcoholic, and they're living in this, you know, like rundown apartment complex, which this Charlie character finds out later on. But, you know, they start out being, you know, really fast friends. And then, you know, this girl, you know, you can tell she's very troubled, you know, like, her situation is even more messed up than Charlie's, you know, like Charlie's parents are fighting, and there's this, you know, dissension in the home, but, you know, she's got a stable home. Whereas this other girl is, you know, completely, like, her home life is a complete, like, chaos. It's a complete mess. It's non-existent. So she's fucked up. And so, you know, she betrays her, you know, very, very early on. You know, she starts turning on her. She starts, like, snapping at her. She's obviously got a problem with maintaining relationships with anybody. And it seems like she takes a very sick pleasure in, like, you know, being mean to her and, you know, kind of, you know, betraying her and abandoning her and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it goes back and forth throughout the whole movie, you know, and yeah, like, it just, I could see what she wanted to make the movie about, and, you know, there were, you know, it was interesting, and it was, you know, entertaining, I guess, but it just became a little bit boring. Like, I mean, when the other girl, Sarah, became, like, a real bitch, you know, very quickly, and just started, like, being a real, like, you know, backstabber and all that stuff, like, it just kept, you know, going on and on, like, incident after incident, and I'm like, you know, I get the point, you know, like, I got the point already, like, you don't have to keep showing me this. And that's where I think the movie kind of, was a little bit on the weak side, was she spent too much time on that. And I really didn't believe that this Charlie would have been as devastated as she was in the movie. Like, she completely falls apart. When their friendship, you know, disintegrates, she just becomes completely, like, lost and bereft. And, you know, she was a very popular girl beforehand. Like, I mean, I really don't think it would have messed up her life, you know, that much if she would have lost this one friend, even though she was her best friend. I just didn't buy that it would have affected her as much as it did. And so that was another weak point of the movie, too. But, you know, it was, you know, kept my attention, even though I was kind of, like, rolling my eyes at a couple of scenes, and, I mean, I would have decked this bitch, you know, seriously, you know, I mean, I would not have been putting up with her crap, the way this girl did, but, you know, we all react to things differently, and I think people like this, you know, backstabbers, two-faced people, like, they know exactly who to befriend and who to prey on. Like, they know exactly who the type of person is who will take their shit, you know, and I certainly ran across people like that in high school and even later. And, you know, you live and learn, right? You learn to avoid people like this, and you learn to spot them very early on, and, you know, she hadn't developed that skill yet, this girl, Charlie. So, yeah, you know, that's what this movie was about. It was, I have to give it a so-so. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. But it was like average. I would not highly recommend it. I wouldn't go out of your way to avoid it, but I wouldn't recommend it really to go and see, because it wasn't that exceptional. It was okay. It was a respectable movie, you know, but not exceptional. Okay. So anyway, that is my review of Breathe, and I will be back for Alleluia, and boy, do I have a lot to say about that movie. Okay, stay tuned.